Event expected today. China's ambassador to the UK is being summoned to the Foreign Office for a rap over the knuckles about lockdown protests, brutality towards a BBC cameraman. Will it make any difference?
Well, I mean, if I was the Chinese ambassador, I would be thinking, you know, it's all very well for you to call me in and tell me off about this, but, you know, we've seen recently UK journalists arrested by British police.
They're not being beaten up in the street. Another commentator this morning saying it's not a fair comparison. But I mean,
no, well, you know, that's obviously we're not thankfully beating our journalists currently, but you know, arresting them nonetheless. And I think all the while that is sort of going on, I think our moral high ground is somewhat undermined. And of course, we saw Rishi Sunak over the summer during the leadership contest try to take quite a sort of robust stance towards China. There was talk about upgrading the sort of way that they are determined to sort of put them on a level with Russia as being seen as a threat. And then his speech on Monday, where although he was saying the golden era is over, actually the language was very sort of
nuanced.
Yes. I mean, it talked about sort of robust pragmatism, which I don't think makes any sense. I don't know what that means. I think a lot of people kind of shrug and say, what does that actually mean? And it's sort of classic, I think, Rishi Sunak trying to have his cake and eat it, not necessarily wanting to come down on one side or the other.
But perhaps this is a long overdue wake-up call. I mean, you know, China's kind of bid for soft power through things like utilities. We're seeing Sizewell C, and they're being bombed out of that, so they won't have control over our nuclear industry in the future. Surely it's a good thing to sever links with such a obviously totalitarian and controlling regime as China.
Well, I think that's sort of part of the process. It's going to take a long time to completely unwind them out of our various different elements of infrastructure that they are in. I mean, look at Huawei, for example. Yes. You know, I mean, that's something that, you know, there were warnings about for a long time. It's still taking time to sort of unravel. And you know, there is a sizable group of people in the Conservative Party, including now the security minister, who have been very hawkish on China for a long time and have been warning about it for a long time. This is still the sort of remnants of the Cameron-Osborne era, which was 7 years ago. You know, I mean, so we're still sort of living the sort of repercussions of that at a time when I think we are increasingly conscious of how hostile states can act, and perhaps we have been naive in going into this in the first place.
OK. Neilan, political editor for Tortoise. Thank you very much indeed.
Superb.